Sawatika. There are reasons that each of us are born. Our quest to discover those reasons. There are two greatest days in our lives. The first, the day we are born. The second, the day we discover why. Sometimes a man reaches his destiny on a road he chooses not to walk upon. How far will a belief system go for complete dominion? Again, Sawadee greetings, and thank all of you for taking the time to view my third show in my second season of Shut Up and Dance. The poem for today's show is Wake the Duck Up. Now, to begin our discussion today, I am going to refer to some principles or beliefs or phrases that I've used in previous shows. For instance, is conflict necessary for the viability of society? Now, I have scratched the surface with regard to this quote on two different occasions. However, today I'm going to throw in another piece to this puzzle of our conflict, and is it necessary for the viability of society? I will begin by throwing out three terms. The first, the epitome. Epitome is defined as a person or thing that is typical of our process to a high degree that features a whole class. For example, he is the epitome of goodness. For example, the second word, the epiphany. The definition is a sudden, intuitive perception or insight into the reality or essential meaning of something, usually initiated by some simple, homely, or commonplace occurrence or experience. For those of us in the modern vernacular, we can say this is a oops upside your head moment. Specifically, for an example of the epiphany, I use and I refer to biblical terms when Satan transported the Son of God. That meeting that took place between them and the choice that our Savior made would be an example, concrete example of an epiphany. The third word is altruism. The definition is the principle or practice of unselfish for or devotion to the welfare of others. The opposite of altruism would be egoism, of, by, and for the self. Now, with these three words, the epitome, the epiphany, and altruism, would you say that in order to be of the human species, that we have to experience, have knowledge of, try to model ourselves by either one, two, or three, or all in combination in order for us to survive? And quite quickly and quite frankly, you would say no. Because each of us, based upon our socialization process, and by that I mean the family that we were born into, the type of environment that was, the opportunity to learn or not to learn, just that in and of itself. There are many ways that from birth we either experience or do not experience the meaning and the reality of these three words. So the next question is, exactly should I possess these words within my own being, within my own environment? And the answer that you will come up with is that every day, each and every decision, whether direct or indirect, material or immaterial, these three words have an impact as to our action and or reaction. And then that's where, from my perspective, we get to the core. While you're watching, there's a number of shows on TV that present crime situations where this particular individual has taken the life of another particular individual, and then they go into the background and this, that, and the other of the makeup of the meeting of these two individuals, and then how all of these things took place. One thing that you will find, from my perspective, is the fact that you will hear the commentators most oftenly state that this individual lacked empathy, compassion, and was cold-blooded. Now, what brings you then to the next level, how is that possible? In this day and age, with computers, with our most intelligent forms of communication, with social media, with the news, with all that we have at our fingertips. How can this happen that these individuals, especially when it comes to the choice, good versus evil, should it be that these individuals who walk that path have no empathy, have had no epiphany, do not possess altruism, and that the sheer driving force of their existence has fallen to the most basic nature of survival of the fittest. Only the strong survive at any cost, no matter, because I am the only entity that matters. That's when I begin to say, is there something that all of us are missing? And from my experience through life and my journey, is it easier to not feel that I am the epitome of something? Is it not real that I have an epiphany with regard to a decision? Am I altruistic as an individual, thinking of the welfare of others as more and as just of a level of as much as I think of myself? 4, in order to love, number 1, you must love yourself. If your name, if you had to draw a list of 1 to 25, and on that list you place the people who are near and dear to you and who you love, who would appear, whose name would appear number 1 on that list? For if you can't love yourself, therefore you cannot give love to others. Is this a component of why certain people choose what they choose, why they choose, and to whom they give their allegiance? Things that make you go, Which brings me to a John Lennon and his brilliance. All we need is love. We can love material. Why can't we love ourselves? We can love the art of love. Why can't we love ourselves? We can love aphrodisiacs or decongestants or painkillers or drugs. Why can't we love ourselves? And if we are slipping down that slippery slope, who is there to check us? Who is there to extend a helping hand? Primarily, you would think, family and or a friend. However, when you're watching these stories, you see nothing but he said, she said, manipulative processes at work, as if nothing else in this world existed except the lifting of our own spirit for a gain at the cost and expense of life. What is that? It's hard for me to conceive. But then again, it's not. Because if we have no experience with the epitome, with the epiphany, with altruism, how are we to garner this? But it happens each and every day. Because think of it this way. If you place all your eggs in one basket and then go forth, you have made a decision. Now, I did not inject whether or not there's goodness or evil with regard to that decision, but you have made a decision. And within that decision, you will find, is it the epitome, the epiphany? Is it altruism? Or is it egoism? Do you make the choice? Or does the choice make you? So how can we correct this? It can be done very simply by just taking a moment and write up that list. Identify who is number one and go forward. And if you have problems with the listing of yourself as number one, a self-examination is required. Because remember, before you can give, You have to have. In other words, you have to have in order to give. And the beauty of our species, ladies and gentlemen, with these words that I have identified, the epitome, the epiphany, altruism, egoism, they all fall back to, do you make the choice? Or does the choice make you? And following along that line is conflict necessary for the viability of society? In all cases, yes, conflict is necessary, but to what degree? To what level should this conflict occur? On what stage? In what neighborhood? This conflict occurs each and every time we make a decision, because rightly or wrongly, good versus evil, somewhat versus some not, it involves you making a choice. And you, as an individual, as being part of humanity, which is being human, which is being a man or a woman, which is being very, very old and mature to very, very young, there are steps in which we evolve, that the meaning of words become sacrosanct to our existence. And it is to this that I address. This conflict is always going on simultaneously. So what do we have to look for? What do we have to try to see? Some type of balance, some type of reason. In other words, I query, can you kill a word? Or postulate, if you will, a word can and will kill you. Do you make the choice? Or does the choice make you? The poem today is Wake the Duck Up. Hey, dirt man, are you out there? Say, dirt man, are your cupboards bare? Hey, dirt man, do you show any wear and tear? Say, dirt man, are you well aware? Hey, dirt man, are you without compare? Say, dirt man, You are so bold. Do I dare? For long, long ago, or so as recorded in history, humanity was blessed, consoled, and treated to his victory. He brought meaning, respect, vision, comfort, truth, purpose, the elements of faith and true dignity. He taught the 12 to see. He taught the 12 humility. He taught the 12 sympathy. He taught the 12 morality. He taught the 12 loyalty. He taught the 12 divinity, the keys to blossom the fidelity of humanity. And now, through the torrents of the mud, the blood, and selfish ideology, repressive sociology, dominion versus reciprocity, present technology, the curiosity, the variety of reciprocity, have we enriched or begun to replenish his democracy? Or have we continued to evoke our chronic hypocrisy, the infamy, the superiority, the clarity of wealth majority? Could we have mended, transcended, recommended, even comprehended to all of society? For if I am blessed as he who taught me, I must query and profess, am I my brother's keeper? Surely you just wake the duck up. Sawadee Ka. Hot Shops Art Center, 75 North, Omaha, We Don't Coast, periodical of the Chamber of Commerce of the City of Omaha, the Greater Chamber of Commerce for the City of Omaha. Dr. James V. Ortman, Internal Medicine and Geriatrics.